What's up guys, Sean here, and today I'm partnering with the David Horowitz Freedom Center and StopK12Indoctrination.org to bring you a story on how the Chinese government has infiltrated virtually every aspect of our public education system. The Senate Homeland Security and Governmental Affairs Committee recently released a report detailing the Chinese government's $200 million 15-year operation to infiltrate and indoctrinate our students in our own public schools. Now, the way that the Chinese government does this is by using front groups that supposedly have benign mission statements. One of these front groups is called the Confucius Institute, which is owned and operated by the Chinese government and currently has over 100 locations in the United States, the most of any country. Now, the Confucius Institute claims that their goal is just to teach Americans about China, teach them the Chinese language, because China is a growing economic power and they want to help us be prepared to participate in the global economy of the future. However, one of the running themes of the Senate's report is the complete lack of transparency of these institutions. And these institutions operate in over 500 K-12 classrooms across the country. During the course of the investigation, the Senate committee obtained a contract that employees at these institutes have to abide by in order to teach in our public schools. And these contracts had more than a few troubling provisions. For instance, employees at these institutes have to pledge that they will never harm the national interests of China. They are required to downplay and shun topics like China's numerous human rights abuses, and they are required to obey all Chinese law while operating in the United States. Which means we have effectively allowed an authoritarian foreign government to export their censorship regime into our public school classrooms. All of the curriculum that they teach in our public schools must be approved by the Chinese government, and they are required to report back to the Chinese government about our students and about our classrooms. And to be perfectly honest with you, we don't know the true extent of this Chinese government intelligence operation. It turns out that our public schools are terrible at reporting gifts from the Chinese government. Over 70% of donations over $250,000 were not reported properly to the Department of Education, even though that is a requirement by law. And in 2018, 32 Chinese visas were revoked from people who claimed to be researchers who were actually teaching in our classrooms. So what we have here is a hostile foreign government operating a sophisticated infiltration indoctrination operation in our public schools, and the way that they maintain their secrecy and their complete lack of transparency is by defrauding the government and holding money over our public school system's heads. We've talked a lot about the code of ethics for K-12 educators, usually in reference to activist organizations trying to insert their own political propaganda in our public school system. But what we're seeing here are the consequences of inaction. We have left our public school system vulnerable for far too long, and now foreign governments are taking advantage of our weakness and using that as a way to insert their own propaganda in our public schools. It's important that after watching this video, you go over to StopK12Indoctrination.org. There you can find more stories of indoctrination in our public school classrooms. You can read over our code of ethics, and you can decide if that's a policy that you can get behind. You can also report instances of indoctrination in your own public school system and stay updated so that you can fight back. This has been Sean Fitzgerald for the David Horowitz Freedom Center and StopK12Indoctrination.org. Till next time.